Hello everyone. Science of sustainability is the topic of discussion for this particular videos. Remember, sustainability is a must for our own existence. Without sustainability, life on this planet will become more difficult. So, over the last decade, we have seen a tremendous increase in public, probably government concern for the environment. As a result, on a business level, there has been considerable amount of pressure on the majority of the firms to reduce the environmental impact of their logistic operation. This has risen to a varied impact in terms of range of externalities and the distances over which their undesirable effects are felt. Transportation of goods has a negative impact on the local air quality, generates noise pollution, leads to accident, and in totality makes noteworthy input to the global warming. The impact of logistics on climate change has called for increasing attention in recent years, partially because increasing the control on pollution, road safety, and improvement have elevated the other environmental problem per se. Also, new scientific research has exposed that the global warming presents a much greater, a more instantaneous threat than earlier thought. It is estimated that a good transport, absolutely good transportation accounts for approximately 8% of the energy related carbon dioxide emission across the world, while the inclusion of warehousing and fleet management are likely to add another 3% to the total. So 8 plus 3 becomes 11%. That's a whooping percentage by all means. So making logistics sustainable is the call of the day, is the demand of the times. In the longer term, will not only involve more than cutting carbon emission. Despite recent improvement, the potential still exists to cut the other environmental cost of logistics by significant margin thereof. External of the free transportation, what do we go across with it? Economic impact is traffic congestions, resources being wasted. Now, economic effect for free transportation means the road are being congested, people are moving slowly, more fossil fuels are being burning, more carbon emission is happening. There is a wastage not only in terms of dollars involved into it, money involved into it, time to commute, time to take. Probably we are also looking at the hastening of the lifespan, or in probably things that can be taken care of without any movement have been taking a longer period of time, longer amount of effort, longer amount of resource consumption. So that is everything being wasted across it. Ecological impact is the greenhouse gases, GHGs, as we say around, which causes climate change, makes the planet warmer, hotter, probably unlivable in due courses of time. The use of non-renewable fossil fuels, the effects of waste products such as tires and oils, something which is absolutely not replaceable. Ecosystem destruction and species extinction number, and I may say, if I say thousands of species, it will be less. If I say million of species, might be appropriate. We have already lost during the last couple of centuries because of the way that we are treating with our planet, the ecosystem per se. So there is an impeccable and deliberately wrong impact that has been hampering around it. Then comes the social impact, negative public health, impacts of pollution, crop destructions. We're talking about injuries, we're talking about death resulting in traffic accidents. There are noise pollution, there are visual intrusions, there are congestion, deterring passenger travel, loss of greenfield sites, open space, deterioration of building infrastructure. You name it, and we have it. These are all the pitfalls of modern life. Absolute pitfalls of modern life. The green logistic. What is green logistic? The study of environmental consequences of activities involved in transportation, storage, and handling of physical products as they move along the supply chain in both forward and reverse direction. It takes into account the nature and the scale of this effect and examine the various ways in which they can be reduced. Let's say, in order to develop a sustainable balance between economic, environmental, social objective, the main objective of logistics is to coordinate these things. You know, you have a sense of balance altogether. the requirement remains at the minimum of the cost. In the past, this cost has been defined purely in monetary terms. As a concern of the environment rise, companies must take into account the external cost of logistics associated with the climate change, with the air pollution, with noise pollution, with accident. So what should we give weightage? Is it the green policy? Is it the logistic policy? What kind of convergences that we need to go around it? What kind of balances that we need to figure out? These are things that needs to be taken answered for sustainable logistic. Is it societal goals very important, environmental goals very important, or the economy should get the priorities? So that is the question that needs to be answered in green logistic. What comes first? Let me give you the key drivers for instigating a green transportation. Now, there might be plentiful. You see, part of a larger corporate responsibilities are very important if you look into it. Increasing supply chain efficiency, absolutely important. Decreasing risk. And if you look into it, you have a variety of reasons where it has been plotted with which all companies can give more importance, some importance, similar importance, reasonable importance, slightly important, not at all important, and probably ignore also. What can it do? What kind of things can come into it? Is it financial return on investment? Is it the government compliance? Is it improving customer relation, improving public relation, improving investor relation? What are we looking at it? Are we trying to decrease our fuel bill? Are we trying to increase the supply chain efficiency? Probably being responsible towards the society per se. What exactly is your priorities? Importance of green issues to the company strategies as on when on basis. The global trend towards the holistic tackling of supply chain externalities and become a top priority practice for many corporations in order to achieve a competitive advantage in an increasingly environmentally sensitive market if it is there. Now if you look into it, on an x-axis would be your degree of importance, and if we are to plot it in terms of percentage, which is more important, you will see everybody has slotted as the most important and very important. If you look into it, they comprises approximately 60%, absolutely 60% of the weightage that comes around it. So this every company would love to play the major role for important and sustainable things thereby. Now, green supply chain management, this raised awareness, the mere fact that 60% of us agree to the fact that we should be much more sustainable, responsible in our acts and behaviors, means there is a raised awareness with regard to logistic negative externalities, brings forth the concept of green, or should I say sustainable supply chain management. The latter can be defined as alignment and integration of environmental management within supply chain management. It is based on the recognition that individual firms environmental impact extend well beyond just corporate boundaries. More specifically, it involves considerable the impact of extraction of raw material, distribution, operation, disposal through the chain. The origin can be traced to two functional areas in which companies' environmental responsible interact with external agencies. Green purchases, green supplies, reverse logistics. We're talking about everything. Environmental impact should be considered cumulatively over a stage of supply chain life. The cycle of the product or the service to avoid shifting adverse environmental effects from one stage of life to the cycle of another. Each stage utilizes resources, produces negative externalities that impact the environmental. However, in a green logistic mentality, this should be minimized. Now let us look into the supply chain management and how does it goes across with it. We all understand it is all about talking about the green suppliers as the case might be. Everybody would love to be out here, but then how does they move into the various distribution center, the green manufacturer, the green distributor, the customers, collection points, and so on and so forth. Everyone is a part of the supply chain, are linked intricately with one another. The green logistics system must include green management, green information system, green supply, green production, green transportation, green distribution, green packaging, green distribution processing, waste recycling. In other words, the whole supply chain needs to be green, absolutely sustainable, absolutely on a recyclable model. With green logistics, successful completion requires the close cooperation of several points. It is with the government, with the public, with the corporate entities. It is their only emphasis that at least one or two of these parties in the whole system, green logistic, will be achieved. The system architecture refers to the system external and probably the internal environment as well, and the component in themselves. There should be a consideration for green logistic that it is not isolated system, but it needs to be exchanged information system and energy with outside party. So in different word, in other words, a green logistics system is largely end-to-end integrated system. Let us move to the step towards efficient establishment of green supply. What can it be? Number one step is to identify cost. Absolutely, this is the point that goes around it, and from there it comes below, right? From identifying the cost, we need to determine the opportunities. From determining the cost, we need to understand what are my benefit that comes around it, and then probably decide what can be done as on when on basis. So yes, we need to identify cost, determine opportunities, calculate benefits, and decide and implement, probably monitor. So companies should that want to implement a green supply chain should consider what? Use of compliance based strategy that suppose the cascading of basic environmental requirement generically across all suppliers, aligning supply chain goals for both efficiency and pollution reduction, transfer of environmentally specific innovations or technology from customers to supplier, and vice versa. Collaboration, competition, cooperation would be the mantra between the firms to develop a remanufacture and closed loop of the recycle system. Yes, it is true that collaboration, competition, co-optations between the firms to develop remanufacturing and probably closed loop recycling system. The European Union's environmental protection agencies are EPA, EU, EPA, provided the four basic steps of identifying costs, determining opportunities, calculating the benefits, and deciding to implement and monitor thereby. The changes required in the evolutions of the green supply. Now, what are we looking into it? According to Cotton era, way back in 1998, they said about disposal, recycling, reuse, and resource reduction. Now, this is what they want to go around here. Talking about disposal, recycling, reuse, and reduction. Similarly, what happens with the supply chain? Can the company improve the scope? Probably for the supply chain, end of the pipeline is all about solution of reducing or reusing or revitalizing. Product in sales would be all about the supply of scope of actions, as in product life. The burden is on perspective, the potential sources of competitive advantages. Reactivity, comply within the regulations, is approaches proactive and value reading. Let us understand that the proactive environmental strategies are required to promote and improve performances. Studies suggest that the environmental proactive companies have a lower regulatory related expenses, and being environmentally proactive leads them to new opportunities created by clean products and processes, and can participate in voluntary international standards. There have been identified multiple links of mechanism between environmental performances and firm performances. The green is equal to lean. If lean is equal to saving money, if we may say so, the scope of action in the chain has to change from initial sales to that of an entire product usage lifetime. So we are not into the mode of just transferring of the product in lieu of money. Probably managing the lifespan of the product should be an issue that comes around it, not only because of the environmental impact during its usage, instead of during production and distribution only, but also because of the future return flow. Expand the scope of action beyond this initial life into the second life, into the third life, proper with the fact that we can reduce it, reuse it, initiative time and again. And we should have a bird's eye view, the system view of environmental life cycle thereby. So evaluating of what exactly happens, right? Now, this is which we need to understand per se. The supply chain as a system leads to a life cycle optimization look what is happening. If we are minimizing the bad inputs, we are leading to waste. Bad inputs mean raw materials, might be money, might be energy. It is all about the bad input. That means this relates to the wastage and wastage of money, wastage of product. But if we maximize the good input, we are improving upon the product. We are reducing upon the waste. We are improving on the revenue process also. It is all about inputs. It is all at the initiation phases that things can be corrected. So yes, the life cycle approach views that impact of a product from the design phase through the disposal phase. This views greater understanding the total impact of the operating system and can lead the design decisions that can improve a long-term performance and the cost thereby. With this, I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching this video till the very end.